The tale of the four tantrics and the quest for ultimate power. In a remote village nestled amidst dense forests, there lived four tantrics, mystics deeply versed in esoteric rituals and the ancient sciences of tantra. Each was renowned for mastering a specific aspect of tantra, but their ambitions knew no bounds. They believed that if they could combine their powers, they could achieve immortality and ultimate control over the forces of the universe. However, their intentions were not pure. Driven by ego, greed, and the desire for dominance, the Tantrics decided to embark on a dangerous ritual to summon the Chaturmukhi Yantra, a powerful mystical diagram said to grant absolute power when invoked correctly. But the Yantra was no ordinary tool, it tested the purity, wisdom, and balance of its users. The four paths of power. Each Tantric specialized in a unique aspect of Tantra, which they believed would be enough to control the Chaturmukhi Yantra. Rudraksh, the Tantric of Strength, master of physical power and control over the elements of nature. He could summon storms, command fire, and bend the earth to his will. Believed brute force could dominate any spiritual force. Vishaka, the Tantric of Knowledge, a scholar of ancient texts and mantras, with an encyclopedic knowledge of rituals. Believed wisdom and precise incantations would unlock the Yantra's secrets. Viewed himself as the intellectual superior among the four. Kalindi, the Tantric of Illusion, master of Maya, she could create illusions so real they could deceive even the sharpest minds. Believed the power of deception was the ultimate tool for controlling any mystical force. Dharvaka, the Tantric of Death, a fierce practitioner who could summon spirits, control the dead, and invoke the destructive power of time. Believed destruction and fear were the ultimate forms of power. Together, they believed their combined abilities made them invincible. The invocation of the Chaturmukhi Yantra. One moonless night, the four Tantrics gathered in an ancient, crumbling temple deep within the forest. They drew the Chaturmukhi Yantra on the ground, a complex diagram with interlocking patterns representing the four elements of power, strength, wisdom, illusion, and death. Each Tantric took their position at one corner of the Yantra and began their invocations. The air grew thick with energy as their combined chants echoed through the temple, shaking the very ground. Sparks of light and waves of shadow began to swirl around the Yantra. But the Yantra was no mere tool, it was a living force, bound to test its summoners. As the energy reached its peak, the Yantra revealed its true nature. From its center arose a glowing figure, Chaturmukha, a guardian spirit with four faces, each representing a different aspect of power. Chaturmukha spoke in a booming voice, "You seek ultimate power, but to wield it, you must prove your unity and purity of intent. Only those who balance their powers without greed or ego can control me. Are you worthy?" The trial of balance. The Tantrics scoffed at the spirit's warning, each believing in the superiority of their own power. Chaturmukha began testing them. Rudraksh was challenged with an unyielding storm. He tried to use brute strength to overpower it, but the more force he exerted, the stronger the storm grew. His arrogance blinded him to the fact that balance, not force, was the key. Vishaka was faced with a labyrinth of forgotten symbols and mantras. Despite his vast knowledge, he faltered because he lacked humility. He refused to accept that some mysteries required collaboration rather than solitary intellect. Kalindi found herself trapped in her own illusions, unable to discern reality from the deceptions she created. She realized too late that even the most skilled illusionist could be deceived by their own ego. Dharvaka was confronted by the spirits he had summoned in his life. They overwhelmed him, reminding him that destruction without purpose leads only to chaos. His desire for control over death had blinded him to the sanctity of life. The collapse and realization. The Tantrics, failing their individual trials, began to argue, blaming one another for their failures. The Chaturmukhi Yantra grew unstable, and its energy spiraled out of control. The temple started to collapse as the guardian's voice echoed one last time, "Power without unity is self-destruction. Only through humility and harmony can true strength be attained." In the final moments, the Tantrics realized their mistake. They had been driven by ego and greed, seeking power for themselves rather than understanding its true purpose. With a final act of humility, they surrendered their powers back to the Yantra, begging for forgiveness. The aftermath. The Yantra's energy calmed, and the temple was spared from total destruction. The Tantrics, now humbled, decided to dedicate their lives to seeking wisdom, not power. They traveled to different parts of the land, teaching others about the dangers of greed and the importance of balance. From that day, the legend of the Chaturmukhi Yantra became a cautionary tale, reminding all who sought power that true mastery lies in unity, balance, and humility. Moral of the story. This story teaches that individual strengths are meaningless without unity and balance. Power, when sought for selfish reasons, leads to downfall. Only through harmony, humility, and self-awareness can true mastery be achieved. The Tantrics learned that the greatest strength lies not in domination, but in collaboration and wisdom.